Welcome back to Mediaweek. Well, Chairman of Prime Media, John Hartigan, has lashed out at the government for delaying media reforms, launching a digital campaign to fight for regional television. Mr Hartigan accused Tony Abbott of pandering to media mates, quote-unquote, Rupert Murdoch and Kerry Stokes, telling Fairfax it was just a captain's pick. Prime, Win and Southern Cross Stereo, in response, are launching a TV, radio and digital campaign to pressure to try and enlist change on the 2 out of 3 rule and the reach rules as well. John Hartigan, of course, reiterated this when he was on Mediaweek not long ago in May, telling us no change would create 2 classes of citizens, those in regional Australia and those in the cities. James, remember we spoke with John about this. He was very vocal on it when he came on the show in May.
Yeah, and I think that was before the Prime Minister brought the curtain down and said, yeah, no, all bets are off, you know, so he's really fired up.
So tell us about this digital campaign, and it's not just digital, it's also TV and radio.
Yeah, and what they'll do, they'll use their assets to put out the message to their viewers that, look, you know, we're under threat, our hands are tied, we're just being held back by other people who can compete better with less regulation. They'll lobby members of parliament, the local media that goes out in the other local media, like newspapers and stuff like that. They'll be writing about this, and it'll make a lot of their the audience and the voters nervous.
Yep.
And the one of the regional politicians this morning, I forget who it was quoted saying, look, it was a full house. Everybody went to hear what the regional media players were saying because, you know, we're concerned, you know, we want to look after our constituents, and if they lose some of their TV services, they won't be very happy.
The question is, will it work? I mean, I guess only time will tell.
Yeah, and is the government backed into a corner now? Will they go back and say, oh, actually, we'll change our mind again, you know, so it's with an election looming next year.
Speaking of the government v media, Joe Hockey won a case against Fairfax this week, this defamation case, of course, but he didn't win on every account.
No, it was interesting, wasn't he? He got awarded $200,000. The $120,000 for the wording on a Sydney Morning Herald poster, $80,000 for 2 tweets made on the Age's account. But the court found that the articles themselves weren't defamatory. But it was the way the story was promoted. So it was really interesting. There's some something else to be, some costs and stuff like that. The final rulings are coming down, I think, July 14. Okay. And Fairfax has 21 days if it wants to appeal. So
not necessarily closed just yet?
No, there's a little bit more to come on this, but it was a really interesting ruling if people are interested to dig it out.
Especially incorporating the Twitter and the social media.
The social media was the downfall, and the newsagent poster. If they changed the wording on that, the Fairfax would have walked away.
Interesting. All right, moving to radio, because Apple's obviously launched Apple Music, but it's also launched a radio station. Yeah,
Beats One's the name of the station. Look, I've had a bit of a listen this week, and I really like it, to be honest, and it's almost gone back to sort of classic radio.
What is it? Can you explain to us what Beats One is?
It's a they broadcast out of the US, Europe, England, and somewhere in Asia. I can't. But anyway, international cities. They rotate. It's really interesting concept.
What sort of music is it based on?
It's pretty edgy. A lot of hip hop. R&B stuff, very contemporary, chart-based a little bit, and they're working on some of them. They had some Pharrell exclusive this week, so they'll be working with artists to get some exclusive music. But it's just really energising the sector, I think, for radio. It's probably a good thing. It might bring back some people to radio if any have drifted away to music streaming services.
Yeah, all right.
But Apple are already very dominant in this, and I think it's $11.99 to get in if you want Apple Music. You get a 3-month trial.
Okay, speaking of music, Vera, this is a name we've been seeing it advertised on The Voice. Of course, they've joined with The Voice, joined partners with The Voice to be a streaming partner.
Replaced Apple on The Voice. They used to get the iTunes. You could listen to some of the music from The Voice. You can go and you'll hear that on Gavira this season when it puts it up. Yeah, look, it's an Aussie company. Starting to make some traction internationally, but it's a very crowded space. But their thing is they're ad funded, right? That's their big thing. They're not looking for subscription money. It's advertising revenue.
So the song's free when you listen to them?
They are, yeah, okay. Yeah. But you will get some ads. So it's a really interesting model. Will it work? Well, you know, they've still got a long way to go. They've got to build their listener base. I think they're doing quite well in parts of Asia, in India. They're getting some real traction. So it just remains to be seen how they'll go.
Speaking of new models, the Telegraph and the Independent in the UK have obviously got these new business models, and we've got some reports on how they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing okay. I mean, the Independent has been losing quite a lot of money for the last few years. That's really dropped now down to $4 million. You know, it's still a significant amount, but it's a lot better than it was. They've got a paper targeted at younger people, sort of some commuters, and they're just, you know, repositioning their business. The Telegraph in the UK has done very well with its internet audience. It's getting some really good numbers there, and again, they're just making some decent money.
And switching to magazines, Harper's Bazaar in the UK has put sponsored content on the cover for the first time.
Who would have thought, eh?
There you go.
Harper's Samsung. It's sort of promoting a Samsung, a new Samsung handset.
Is this the beginning of something new? Will we see a lot of this?
Oh yeah, I think this will happen. You know, there's probably already been subtle. You know, sponsorships on covers, you know, models, they wear dresses and stuff on covers and stuff like that. But this time it's, you know, really some cash changing hands and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, I think we'll see more of it.
All right, let's talk radio, because Nova Entertainment this week announcing the details of their second Red Room Global Tour. Which sponsors are back?
Yeah, look, Optus is back. They're the key partner. Qantas is back, and they've got Dubai Tourism in. Speaking to Nova Entertainment this week about it. They said, look, they had a lot of interest. They wanted, but the key sponsors were so happy with the first year, they jumped back straight on board, and Nova didn't want to bring back somebody unless they could add to the experience. So I think they've got a good deal with Dubai Tourism. They're hitting Dublin, London and Dubai on this trip.
And speaking of, next week we've actually got radio ratings on the show, but Hamish and Andy are also...
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting week next week.
Comeback.
A secret comeback. They're not back till July 13, but secretly they're back a week earlier. So it's off ratings next week, so it's interesting to see the impact it'll have on the market. But Nova will be giving away its first tickets for this trip on the first day Hamish and Andy are back, so it's a nice coincidence for Nova.
Just quickly as well, some executive changes. We like to talk about this, of course, on Mediaweek at Foxtel this week.
Yep, Ross Crowley, I think he's been on the show before, is just one of their senior content guys. We've talked about before, Foxtel's committed to spending a lot more on local content, so they've had to rearrange some of their senior management, and Ross is taking a more strategic look at how they spend that money on their content.
All right, well, let's take a look now at ratings. It's time for ratings for week 26, kicking it off with Free to Air. There they are, 9 News coming in at top spot, and Married at First Sight is still doing well for 9.
Yeah, that was the final episode. Very short 6-episode season they had. We'll get a lot more episodes of that next year, Ingrid, when it's back.
MasterChef making it in there. Let's turn the page, though, and take a look at the rest of the top 10. MasterChef, of course, and the News, 7 and 9.
Yep.
All right, subscription television now for week 26, and it's starting with sport. There it is. Nothing really new there.
Yeah, look, halfway mark of the season. Sort of halfway through that footy season, so still a good few months to go for Fox Sports and the Fox Footy Channel to enjoy those good ratings.
Loving that AFL and NRL. All right, switching the page now to the non-sport Next Top Model, making it #1 spot, coming towards the end of that too.
Yeah, there's one more episode of Next Top Model we'll see on this chart, and I think that was the final episode of Wentworth this season, so very successful. All
right, let's talk television, because Q&A, that fallout has been obviously continuing for Q&A. Executive producer giving a warning, and Ray Martin is leading the inquiry into it.
Yeah, and it's also Sean Brown. It's not overlooking him, so there'll be two of them. And Ray's sort of, you know, better known for his on-air stuff. Sean Brown is the lot of experience in news and current affairs, and also at SBS. Look, we think they know what they'll find. They got the wrong guest on, what they'll be looking for. Has there been a systematic failure in the Q&A process? When they invite guests on, they'll be also looking at the subject matter, how they work their social media, and the people that get invited onto the panel to see if, you know, the show maybe could be doing a better job.
Well, for ratings the week after.
Oh yeah, ratings are up. Had their biggest audience in about 2.5 years. So, you know, I mean, if that happened to a commercial channel, they'd be going, you know, we want some more of this.
All right, ABC also announcing a big recommission for some of its Australian dramas this week.
Yeah, those Aussie dramas do very well for them, and they're spending some money there. It's good news for a lot of the people there, Playmaker Media, Screen Time, December Media down in Melbourne. So Dr. Blake Mysteries is one of the shows. So yeah, that Aussie drama doing very well for commercial TV, does very well for the ABC as well. And
SBS got the Tour de France coming up. Who's involved in this one?
Yeah, look, Skoda's the big key sponsor there. They do very well, get back on every year. And it looks one of the platform... SBS's big content drivers. Look, it's late at night, so but it brings a big audience late at night. From Win the Slot can be up around midnight, and they'll get some really good audiences. Right. I like it for the scenery, some great European scenery. Beautiful. The castles have lots of chopper shots. Even if you're not into cycling.
So you'll be tuning in.
Yeah, it's lots of good viewing there. All
right, unfortunately we are out of time on this edition of Media Week. Big thank you to James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, as always. From the team here, thanks for your company.